Hello, and welcome to Lost in Time, a series where we delve into the lost railway history of the ACT and go exploring to find what has survived the test of time. Today, we're doing something a little different, because the lost railway we're exploring never existed. Yes, today we're talking about Walter Burley Griffin's original plan for Canberra's railway network. Arguably the most famous people in Canberra's history, Walter Burley Griffin and his wife Marion were architects from the United States of America. In 1913, their plan for the Australian capital was chosen by the Department of Home Affairs, who had run an international contest for the design of the new city. Having spent much of his working career in Chicago, one of the largest rail hubs in the United States, Griffin understood how important a good railway connection would be to Canberra, and as such, railways featured prominently in his original plan. An 8-kilometre spur, branching at Queanbeyan from the main Goulburn to Cooma line, was built between 1913 and 1914 to bring construction materials to the city. This branch and the accompanying station in Kingston were always considered to be temporary, if you can call 100 years temporary. Griffin's proposed railway would have followed a similar trajectory out of Queanbeyan until it reached the outskirts of present-day Fyshwick. To make sense of what it does now, we need to more closely examine Griffin's map. In the original plan, the industrial site at Fyshwick didn't exist. Instead, this area would have been the site of the upmarket suburbs Southbourne, Lakebourne, Riverbourne and Eastlake. As you can see on this map, there would have been branches to different stations, and no doubt provisions for more in future. A Canberra suburban rail network is hard to picture today. After passing through the underground Eastlake station, situated roughly in the middle of Hume Circle, the railway would have risen to join the road across a long causeway to the other side of the lake. Certain mysteries today are answered by looking at this map. Why is this area often referred to as Eastlake? While, yes, it is geographically on the east edge of the modern lake, in Griffin's original plan this was literally an east lake. Griffin envisaged 3 lakes in total, separated by causeways: West Lake, a central lake arranged into 3 basins, and East Lake. This also explains why there's a road in Kingston called the Causeway, despite there being no causeway to speak of. It's quite easy to trace where the causeway would have run. The larger causeway circle has only been part built, but you can imagine where it would have gone. Then it's a straight shot across the tracks, down the Causeway Avenue, and a dead straight line across the edge of the wetlands to join Selheim Street in Russell. The double-track line would have then delved back underground, reaching what would have been Central Station. In Griffin's plan, Constitution Avenue would have been Canberra's High Street, and the railway would have run underground into the city. Central would have been a grand 4-track affair, and one can imagine the impressive sight awaiting visitors as the train pulled in. From there, it would have travelled under Russell and Reid, with another station at Anzac Parade called Prospect. The next station was City, before the planned route finally terminated at Northbourne Station. There was plenty of scope to extend onwards to rejoin the main line at Yass, which we'll explore in a later video. Griffin's grandiose plans never eventuated. Not long after construction of Canberra began, the First World War broke out and construction was halted. After hostilities ended, money was tight. Through all of this, Griffin's relationship with the Department of Home Affairs had become increasingly strained. Considered an unwelcome foreign interloper, Griffin's efforts had been deliberately undermined and sabotaged by senior officials. His plans were revised over and over, and early to meet the chopping block was his ambitious railway plan. Griffin was able to make one last Hail Mary attempt at bringing trains into the city. Shortly before his contract was terminated in 1920, he managed to get authorization to construct a branch line from Kingston to Civic. We've covered the history of this branch in an earlier video, which you can see here. It followed Griffin's original railway plan quite closely, albeit above ground. No doubt this was Griffin's attempt to have the land classified as the railway corridor, to stymie any future development that might prevent a permanent railway from being built. Evidence of this can be seen in this old map of Braddon, with today's Lonsdale Street still classified as the Railway Reserve. Unfortunately, Griffin's line to Civic was only allocated a limited budget, and so was built on the cheap. Gone was the Grand Causeway, replaced with a meagre embankment and a timber trestle made up of second-hand timbers. The branch was opened in 1921 and, as we all know, was abruptly closed in 1922 after sustaining flood damage. Despite numerous inquiries and public appeals, the branch was not repaired and was ripped up in 1940. Today, Canberra's railway is a modest affair. The temporary branch to Kingston is still in operation, with passengers greeted by a solitary platform and a half-abandoned goods yard, a long distance from the city centre. Rail freight service to Canberra dried up in the early 2000s, leaving a spiderweb of rusty, overgrown sidings. It's sad to reflect on Burley Griffin's ambitious ideas and imagine what a grand railway Canberra could have had if not for global circumstances and political interference. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and drop a comment down below if you have any questions or you'd like us to explore a particular part of Canberra's railway history. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when we upload next. Like us on Facebook and visit our website, links are in the description.